Basically, we're all in phase two
Mhm.
right now, both from the governor's standpoint and the mayor's standpoint. And then phase three, in both plans, they plan to permit you to have gatherings of 10 people.
Mhm.
In phase three, we're supposed to be declining in our numbers as it relates to the number of positives, and of course, in deaths and the number of people in hospitals and people on respirators. In phase four, they will permit up to 50 people to gather at one time,
Mhm.
and we're supposed to be really declining even more.
Mm.
Phase five, you're supposed to either have a vaccine, a treatment, or actually have a sustained period of time in which there are no new cases. So, in my purview, we are probably a long way from a phase five. As you probably have heard, Alinko, here in Illinois, we had a spike in the number of deaths, over 200 deaths today, and also a spike in the number of new cases, over 4,000. Not a number that those are numbers that we probably have not reached at all during our time, this pandemic time frame, or if we reached them, it was really early on in the during this time. So we're not getting better. You know, the governor announced on yesterday that he feels that the peak will not happen until the middle of June. And
Mm.
so initially it was supposed to be in the middle of May, which would have been this Friday.
Mm.
Well, we we started going back up. So obviously we have not peaked, and definitely we're not declining. So we need to continue, even though we had these protesting to try to get back out there. And I think it has a lot to do with those protesters being out there that we're starting to climb again. And
Mm.
so those are the kind of things I'm going to talk about on my show. I talk about on my show, and of course, before it's over, I like to announce what my special guest is going to be this coming Saturday.
Mm. Brilliant. Uh, my brother Chris. But before that, uh, tell us about how you grew up with your seven siblings on your father's cotton farm.
Oh, well, actually, my father had a cotton farm, but we did not live on it. It was his mother and father's farm,
Okay.
and two of his siblings still lived there. His two disabled siblings still lived there, and we would go there on the weekends,
Mm-hmm.
and we would actually chop cotton in the spring and pick cotton in the fall, and it was really character building for me,
Mm.
Linko.
Mm.
It helped me. It humbled me, and it helps me even to this day to keep things in perspective, to recognize how blessed I am, and to be able to respect the least of these our brethren and sisters. And
Mm.
so it was I would not trade the experience for anything.
Mm. Mm. I like me. I grew up on my uncle's and my grandfather's farm, and I learned how to make moonshine. I learned how to hunt.
Moonshine.
Yes, 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 yes. Because yeah, because my uncles and my grandfather made what we call back home, we call it like pateshi, but it's like local, it's like gin, gin, yeah. And so they made moonshine. Let me put it that way. They made moonshine. It was part of their trade. He was a trader. My grandfather was a trader. He had sheep, he had goats, he had all kinds of animals, farm. And so I grew up that in that style, learning how to farm and and do gardening and all that. So yeah, I can relate to what you're saying. These type of things give you a solid foundation. It gives you a good grounding. So I can definitely relate. My brother Toffey, you have been doing work with regards to the government stimulus package and all that. Currently, can you walk us through what are some of the things you've been hearing when it comes to the government stimulus package and some of the unemployment insurance issues that has been going on, if you may?
All right, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I want to say, Honorable Dorothy, thank you so much for the great work that you have been doing. I'm so impressed about your accomplishments. God bless you for setting up that
When
bar.
it comes to the government stimulus package
Now, with regards to the stimulus package, as we all know, first of all, it comes with the stimulus check that I believe that majority of us have already received theirs,
Mhm.
and some of us have several issues one, some have not received it yet. And those that haven't received it yet, especially if you are expecting
Thank you.
a check in the mail, we are still encouraging that it's not done yet, so you should still keep expecting it. Now, if at the end of it you don't get it, you still have opportunity to claim it when you file your 2020 taxes in 2021. Now, let's jump into the CARES Act, the stimulus bill that was passed March 27th has several provisions titled CARES Act.
Now, if you have your laptop or computer and you're watching, just turn down the volume and so we can get.
Sure.
Yes. Okay, I think we're good.
We are good now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the stimulus bill also comes with the provisions that we call CARES Act, Coronavirus Aid, Relief and Economic Security Act. And in that act, it has several provisions. First one, if you look at it, section 4021 talks about consumer credit protection. So basically, it prohibits negative credit reporting to the credit agency from this time up to 120 days after the pandemic is over. So basically, from this time up to 120 days after the emergency is over, no credit collection agency or financial institutions should report negative credit rating, such as collections, late payment, onto your credit report, as long as conversation has taken place. Then also we have the unemployment benefit as well. The unemployment benefit, as we all know, traditionally was actually passed by Social Security Administration in 1935, giving those who lose their job with no fault of their own, able, willing, available to work full-time, the opportunities to receive some kinds of stipend from the state. So when the CARES Act was passed on March 27th, it gave several extensions to this traditional unemployment benefit that each state has. And one of the extensions, one is the eligibility. Traditionally, only those who had W-2 jobs, those who filed 1040, they are those that were originally eligible to apply for unemployment insurance.
Right.
Now, when the CARES Act was passed, it extended the eligibility to cover unemployment, independent workers, independent contractors, sole proprietors, self-employed. So, for example, if you drive Uber, Lyft, or truck that traditionally you were not eligible, the CARES Act now gives you eligibility to apply. Then the second one is the extension of the timeline. So each state has its own timeline that in which the unemployment benefit is paid. In the state of Illinois, for example, they pay up to 26 weeks. State of Florida, up to 12 weeks. Georgia, up to 14 weeks. Now, when the CARES Act was passed, it added additional 13 weeks to whatever that the state gives you. So if you're in the state of Illinois, once your unemployment benefit is approved, instead of being paid up to 26 weeks, you are now going to get additional 13 weeks to be added. So you will receive that weekly check or that deposit up to 39 weeks. Another extension is the amount. The bill gave each state the right to determine how much they should pay. So each state set the maximum amount in which the unemployment benefit will be at. In the state of Texas, for example, the maximum amount that one can receive is $521 a week. In the state of Illinois, $483 a week. Massachusetts, $821 a week. All right, great. So when this CARES Act was passed, there was an act that was also passed called Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. The Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, that one adds additional $600 to whatever that your state will approve you. So it doesn't matter whatever your state approves, even if you get approved for $1, you will receive the $600 to it, and you will receive it on a weekly basis. So we encourage everybody, especially if you are used to be not eligible because of your work status. Now, with the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, it gives you eligibility. And some, if you look at each state, they have listed a lot of a qualification to determine eligibility for the pandemic unemployment. Basically, it boils down to if you have been affected by COVID-19. For example, if you have to stay home to take care of your children because the school was closed down due to COVID-19, it makes you eligible. If you are self-employed, you drive Uber, you braid hair, you drive truck because of COVID-19, you have to park your vehicle, or nobody has to come to your shop to braid her hair, it makes you eligible to apply for the pandemic unemployment assistance. Now, let me say this, with the $600, you don't have to do anything. $600, you don't have to do anything as long as it's tied to the state approval of the unemployment assistance. So once the state approves it, then you automatically get the $600. Now, let me also address this because this has been a lot of issues, people getting frustrated. When this bill was passed, each state didn't have the system in place to accommodate or approve the self-employed, the gig squad, the gig independent contractor workers. There was not a system in place. So anytime they submit the application, they get denied. And most of them got frustrated and gave up. Well, the process is that once you get denied, you are to move forward and apply the pandemic unemployment assistance. And as at now, even some states such as North Carolina, before you apply the pandemic unemployment assistance, they encourage you to first apply for the traditional one before, once you get denied, then you apply for the pandemic. If your state has direct link to apply for the pandemic, then we thank God. If not, go through the traditional one. And once you get approved, don't be discouraged. Apply for the pandemic assistance. Now, why did some of the states, why did they do it that way? Among the reasons why they want self-employed to go through the traditional ones is to make sure that there is no money already reserved for them. For example, if you had employer beginning of 2019 and had paid payroll taxes for you, and you lost, and before you started your self-employed, your Uber, you already have money in there for you. So the traditional unemployment assistance, unemployment insurance process gives you the opportunity to first receive what your employer has already paid on your behalf. Then later on, you get into the pandemic unemployment assistance. So I want to encourage everybody, if you have been denied, that's not the end issue. Move on to apply for the pandemic unemployment assistance. Then also,
we will come back to. We will let you continue, but
sure.
I want Honorable to give us maybe a brief synopsis of, or maybe overview of what we know that about 3 trillion stimulus package was passed for was passed passed yesterday at Congress, and so we want to know. We know that usually when this bill is passed, majority or chunk of it goes to corporate, small business, corporate America, and regular folks get something. But a lot of time people say they don't like it. It should be structured in a way that regular folks are getting more, because it's people are going to spend, and when people spend, that's when the economy can be can come back up running again. So Honorable, I don't know if you can help us with that information.
Well, you have to recognize the fact that this only passed the Democratic Congress on yesterday.
Yes.
And it has to go to the Republican-controlled Senate. So, I'll talk about, and as Dr. Toffey has talked about, some of the things that are in that package, but we have to realize that there's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of compromises going to have to take place. I saw one senator said, why don't we wait to see the effect on the economy of the CARES Act before we attempt to put in place the HEROES Act, which is what they are calling the one that was passed on yesterday by the Democratic Congress. But of course, for the regular people, they're looking at giving the $1,200 stimulus again. Of course, Maxine Waters pushed for the $2,000 per person again, but it didn't make it. $1,200 is what the Democrats passed, with a maximum of $6,000 per household. So that, I'm not sure how they plan to do that. That would mean would mean that there may be, several adults in your household that that qualify for the 1,200, but they plan to cap households by 6,000. And then, of course, as Doc has as Doc Chris Toffey has said, $600 per week supplemental unemployment. But what I really like is that they have allocated money to the state governments, and including Washington D.C. and the tribal territories, and they allocated $540 billion to them. And the reason why I like that is because, of course, as an elected official, I know what we're going through. I just got off a call with all of the major stakeholders that run the court system and the president of the Cook County, including the state's attorney and the sheriff and the public defender. I just got off a call with them, and I know the kind of expenses that we're going through. First of all, to retrofit the courthouse so that when we go back to phase one, there's proper social distancing and the like. And of course, dealing with my staff as it relates to the mask, the gloves, and the sanitizer and those kinds of things. And we're going to have to look at this for months, not just 1 month, but we're looking at what is it going to cost us for several months. And you have to realize, see, I am one of the major revenue generators for the county, and the court system has been at a standstill, if you will. We've had some cases going forth. I have remote services where we're providing people service, but revenue is significantly down because people are not filing cases, etc. So not just my revenue, people are not going out to these, you have all these stores closed, so sales taxes are down. All of the different revenues that for the state as well as the county, they're down, and we were already in bad shape from our pension standpoint, and now these revenues are down. So they're giving $540 billion, or want to give $540 billion to the state governments, and then $375 billion to local governments. And I like that they separated it out for local governments. Also, I'm on an Illinois Criminal Justice Authority board, and the Department of Justice, I was on a board meeting today. I had several meetings today, had it with the stakeholders, and I was also on a board meeting with the Illinois Criminal Justice Authority. And we were talking about the, I believe it was $30 million that we're getting, which is not a lot of money, but we're getting to allocate to not-for-profits and local governments to handle the things related to the community directly for the pandemic. So the federal government is doing quite a bit. And then, of course, I really, really appreciate the $175 billion, and I hope this passed, related to renters and homeowners. And that's because renters, landlords are having a hard time. They're saying you need to pay or get out. And of course, people are not working and they do not have the money, but yet landlords, they have to pay their mortgages. The mortgages relief that they're giving sometimes is only for your principal resident, not for your rental property. And so I like that they're giving renters, plan to give $175 billion to help renters, and hopefully, I'm assuming that's going directly to renters. And I like the fact that they added that extra, because that little $1,200, you can't pay your rent with that, not many months. And then homeowners, and then of course, helping with testing and tracing, $75 billion, and the United States Postal Service. What I really appreciate too is that finally people are starting to appreciate the United States Postal Service. They looked at FedEx. They're looking at, Amazon's doing their own deliveries. And you had all of these different delivery services that were attempting to take over for the post office. But the United States Post Office is tried and true. And our mailman, even though he brings packages and put it on the porch and runs, because he'll ring the doorbell and run because he doesn't want to see anybody. But he's out there and he's delivering, and people probably are starting to send more letters and that sort of thing. Even though email has taken away a lot of the revenue, So
Mm.
they're getting 25 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have more money for small businesses. And I think we'll get it right this time because they started to get things right this last time. You all know that some of those major companies got $10 billion
Mm-hmm.
and the small businesses did not. But then when they came up with the second wave of money for that PPP, the Payroll Protection Program,
Mm-hmm.
some of the smaller businesses were able to get it. And I do want to say, for those of you that are still working on getting that, PayPal.com is a location. Is it like a financial institution that you don't have to have a PayPal account, but you can go out there and apply. And one of my associates was able to get a 24-hour turnaround for $10,000 for their PPP program. And so you can go to PayPal.com. You do not have to go to a brick and mortar bank to get to apply. And even if you've applied already, doesn't matter, because when you accept the loan, you have to attest to the fact that this is the only loan that you are accepting. And then, of course, the federal election, they're trying to get some money into that, 3.6 billion, because we have the election coming up in November, and trying to make sure that we have protection there. And so we have some good things. There's some good things in this bill.
Okay.
I appreciate Nancy Pelosi. I really appreciate Maxine Waters, because she is all of our Congress woman, you know, and so good things in this bill. We need to make sure that the Republicans do not water it down too much, that we get this support, because people need this support.
What is your view? I mean, you live with, you are a very community oriented person. Aside your high profile duties and interactions, what is your personal observation of how people are being hit financial wise due to this pandemic?
Well, the things that I've observed is that, I think some companies are taking advantage of this situation.
Okay.
I don't think that they had to lay everybody off, but they did. They've laid people off that they probably did not have to lay people off so quickly. You would have thought that the companies had some kind of reserve, right? And that they were not living a month to month as we were living paycheck to paycheck. Sounds like they were living, month to month. But that being said, a lot of people have lost their jobs. They lost them right away, which was so interesting about it. And so people are being hit pretty hard. I think you all have probably seen the long lines of cars waiting to get food baskets, waiting to get food. And so people are hurting, and we have to, and it's left up to the federal government really to bail us out. They have to bail all of us out this time. They had to bail the banks out during the mortgage foreclosure, but they have to bail all of us out.
Yeah.
To keep this economy going until we can get it back on right sided, back right up, or stand it back up, and be able to continue. And so yes, people are hurting, but then Alinko, the travesty is the fact that people are losing loved ones. I didn't realize until this week that one of my friends, a woman that used to do my hair, she lost her mom and her oldest sister, and she sent a picture where both of their caskets were sitting side by side at the graveyard to COVID-19. And I knew her mom very, very well, and people are just losing their lives. So people are emotionally and mentally affected, but yet on top of that, here you are, have not being able to care for your family. So I'm just really afraid. And that's why I had my husband on my show on Saturday night to talk about the mental and emotional drain.
Yeah.
Dr. Benton Cook III, in which he's been on your show, to talk about the mental and emotional strain that's taking place in our communities.
Yeah, that's very much needed, and hopefully we can get him on the show too to do something, try to help our audience to understand and probably how to navigate through these hard times emotionally and mentally. So Chris, if people are you said if somebody tried to apply for unemployment, benefit and got denied, they have to keep trying on the same website because sometimes you can't even get through the phone call, I mean the customer service number to speak with anybody. And so it becomes very cumbersome. Others have also now received their stimulus check, and you mentioned it earlier that well, there's an issue with that. So people who have not received their stimulus check yet versus those who got denied. You said again, I know you said earlier, but I want you to take your time to go into how they can navigate through that. Is there any website they can go to, or just wait until it comes? What's the advice?
Sure. All right. Thank you. All right. With the issue of the unemployment benefits, yes, almost across the 50 states, while you call the phone line, you'll be lucky to get them after even spending 10 hours. So
Right.
that one is not encouraged. Now, what most of the states have done, they have allotted the days to the first letter of your last name.
Yes.
So if the first letter of your last name says A, then you will check that A. If the A has a day or days, about 2 or 3 days that you were supposed to go in there, log in, and apply.
Right.
If you try any other day, it will not work.
Okay.
Now, beside those days, about 2 or 3 days that they have allotted to each letter of the last name, they've also made Saturday as a day open, just in case you missed your allotted days, that you can go in there and log in. And once you log in, you reapply. But this time, and each state has been going through transition, updating their system. So, for example, I visited North Carolina just last night, and what they have done, they have actually indicated clearly pandemic unemployment assistance. Click here. So once you click over there, it takes you directly to an application designed specifically for pandemic unemployment assistance that deals or handles issues such as self-employed, that you are now out of job, or you lost your job because of COVID-19. You are able to indicate all these reasons, put them all down, and submit it for approval.
Let me ask. Let me try and clear the question, if I may. For somebody who has done all that, and has even received a letter from the state saying that you have been denied unemployment insurance benefit, even though you fall in the category of the Uber driver, taxi driver, whatnot, what would you say to that person?
All right, great. Now, let me also say this. The letter that we sometimes receive, that denial letter, unfortunately, they don't include that go online and log in to apply for pandemic unemployment assistance. Usually, you see that online. Yeah. So if you have received that letter, what we have been encouraging people is that log back in. Not only North Carolina, the state of Texas, and a couple other states, they have stated boldly, even if you have gotten denied letter, apply for pandemic unemployment assistance and make sure that you have your documents available. So if you are self-employed, you have to make sure that you have your Schedule C, profit and loss, or your 1099 that you got from Uber, to show that, yes, you were self-employed and you have been affected by COVID-19. As long as you have that document available, or you have been offered a job and because of COVID-19, you couldn't start, you upload that offer letter onto your application, you add it to your application, and you should be able to proceed. So again, back to the question, as if you have received that letter, don't be discouraged. Go back online, log in, and reapply. But this time, you are looking for pandemic unemployment assistance.
Okay, so you go on your state's log in, and then look for pandemic assistance.
Exactly.
And then you have to have your documentation proving where you work at and how your work has been affected. Okay.
Yes.
So if you're a taxi driver or Uber driver, right? And do you have to go to Uber, email Uber or call Uber to send you a document that says that you have been affected? Because how do you get a document?
Okay, great. At the end of the year, you receive 1099. So that is one of the documents. That's one of the verification. Or if you have filed your 2019 taxes, you have done your Schedule C. So that is also an evidence that you are self-employed.
Okay.
So any of these documents can serve as a eligibility verification.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So make sure that you're gonna have that one. Yeah.
Okay, great point. And then people can just apply again and then hope that
Yes.
they okay.
And get approved. Yeah.
So for people who have not applied all this while, if they do, based on what you're hearing, if they try again, would there be a back pay, or the state will just?
Yes, that's one of the good thing about this pandemic pandemic unemployment assistance. It's retroactive, beginning of February 15th. So they will pay from February 15th up till the end of the $600 that the federal government is adding is up to end of July. Yeah, so they will be able to receive that. Yeah, so they
So
haven't lost the money yet.
excellent. So honorable, I know the state of Illinois and the state of Illinois, and I'm sure Texas too. If you, you can chime in. I mean, the governor has mandated, maybe all landlords, whatever, to give a break, maybe a furlough, they call it, to all tenants. Now, how long is that? I mean, is it to the end of May, because May is coming, or June, July? How long is this going to last until landlords start actually evicting people out of their homes?
Let me just say this. I'm sure that, the governor had, had included in his order, his executive order, no evictions through, and right now his order goes to May 31st.
May 30th. Okay.
And of course, also within the court system, we are not hearing those kinds of cases. So it really doesn't matter what the governor had. I mean, it matters, but the fact that the governor had it in his order was great. But the key is our court system not hearing those cases. And also the other key is that the sheriff will not set anyone out during this time. Okay. That's where the real power lies, because the governor obviously cannot monitor everyone. And people need to understand that, yes, your landlord may threaten you. And yes, they may give you a 5-day notice, but they do not have a court system to bring that to. Not right now. There's no court system that's going to hear it. So it's really just a threat. But you have to be concerned about what's going to happen come May 31st.
Exactly.
And then when the court system will open up, conditionally. Now, we're going to probably have a phased approach for opening the court system. And, certain cases will be heard in person with proper social distancing. A lot of cases are going to be heard remotely using the Zoom technology. The chief judge and his presiding judges are working on that plan to see how that will be, and how do you get people into Zoom that may not have access to a computer? Do they come and are given the ability to sit in a room where we have computers set up and be able to Zoom into that case? Or we limit the number that will go into a particular courtroom and have everything else be Zooming from different locations. It's going to be a challenge. And all I say to people, please be patient. This is something that has never, ever happened before. For my office, if you're trying to call, please go to my website, cookcountyclerkofcourt.org, and go to the remote services and email us. Do not call the number and then complain that it did not get answered in a timely fashion. We have a skeleton crew, but we do have the numbers being forwarded to individuals. But even with that, they're not going to be able to answer everything. But if you email us your requests that you're looking for, based upon the reports that I've been getting, and I get the reports, the daily report as to the number of hearings, the number of emails we've actually received, requests we've received, and the number we've answered, and pretty much every area that I have has been able to provide the service that we've been requested through email at 100% every day. So your best bet is to email it. The people on site are handling it. Plus, we have people with virtual private network access to our court system at home, and they're answering things as well. And so that your best bet is to email us, and we'll be able to answer. So and people that are want to know their next court dates, they can go into our system and look up their next court date for the civil cases. We're this close in making sure that we have the criminal information out on the website. We gave private attorneys a separate portal, a private portal that they can go out and actually look up the court dates for their clients. And for the most part, that's what people want. People want to know, the attorneys want to know when their court cases are for criminal cases. And of course, defendants actually get phone notification of their next court dates from our phone system, from our court notification system. So, but I just say, please be very patient over the next few months, because this is not something we've ever experienced before, and we're all doing the best we can to make sure that we properly serve you.
No, it's awesome that you give us that, because you are the one in charge of all these legal issues, and we're glad that you explained this, so that if somebody's out there and they're living and they've been anxious and they're in fear of what's going to happen to them with regards to their rents and all that, at least they know that the person who's in charge of the courts, the court system here in the Cook County, you are, at least you know that, well, you will not be thrown away from your house or from your place of residence right now.
And they also need to know that all the cases that we had on the docket for March, starting March 17th through the present, all those cases have been actually continued, automatically continued, for the most part, starting June 1st. So it's about 76 days. They'll all get continued. So everything that was on March 17th will be scheduled for June 1st. Things that were March 18th, that's going to be June 2nd. Now, if your date, your 76th day falls on a weekend, then it will be continued to the following court business day. And I say court business day because, we're going to have the 4th of July that's going to fall in there. So there may be some holidays in there. So you can almost count to see exactly when your next court date. Now, that being said, that goes to evictions as well, Mr. Olinko. There were evictions, there were cases that were on the docket. They have been continued too. Unfortunately, and that's unfortunate for the landlords, but I really hope, they've been giving small businesses breaks. Now, with the landlords, hopefully these mortgage companies, because that's for the most part, that is indeed what you have to pay, your mortgage. And let me say this, if you pay the gas bill and the light bill and you're a landlord and you don't allocate, you allocate through the rent through your tenants, then you need to be calling Commonwealth Edison and People's Gas, because they're giving reliefs also. They will at least give you the opportunity, without having to worry about it, the opportunity to extend your payments. I believe they go to anywhere from 6 to 12 months. And so there are different avenues out there to get relief, so that you as a landlord, you're not stuck with this bill without money coming in. And you need to call your mortgage company and request the extensions from your mortgage companies, because mortgage companies, they received money in the in the last stimulus bill, and therefore they're supposed to give you that relief. They're supposed to not report your credit agency. I know Dr. Toffey was talking about that, but they also not supposed to charge you the late fee, and they're supposed to extend when you pay your mortgage. That's for anybody that's on the line. And don't say, well, I can afford to pay, I had a little save. No, save that. Keep that saved. This is your time to get ahead and take the relief that they're offering to you.
Okay. It is very important that as a community we discuss these things. Now, I know the pandemic has hit us in several ways. I mean, it's touched all lives, and of course, the most important part of our lives is our health, which is attacking now. And so we're doing what we have to do. We're praying to God to help us navigate through this. But the next important thing is our bottom line. And so our money is one of the key things apart from our health, which is extremely important. And that is why we're doing this show this evening, to at least try to answer or try to go through some of the questions and some of the anxieties that people are experiencing when it comes to the pandemic and how it's affecting their monies, because it really is. People are eating a lot than usual. You find yourself spending all your money on food. And if you can attest to it, if let's say you used to do grocery, or let's say you used to spend $100 on grocery per week, now it's probably doubled. Because everybody's eating probably 2, 3, 4 times a day. It's just the way we're living now. And you're spending, and nothing is coming in. So it is an issue. And so send your comments, questions to the feed, and this wonderful people would try to answer them or respond to them effectively. 30 minutes down to the end of the show, we're going to have the state representative LaShawn Ford join us, and he'll be adding his 2 cents to our discussion this evening. But I'll come to you, Chris. Before that, we have Portia Claudine McKeskill, who says, "Hello, Progressive Minds." Hello, Portia. Dr. Portia, how are you? Bridget Amenyo, my sister, says, "Hello, Alinko. Love you, sis." Eben, sis, can you share the feed for me, please? Eben, can you share the feed? If I mention your name, you have to share the feed. Okay, I'm just kidding. But and what we're sharing is very important. So the more you share, the more you help someone to understand what was going on, and also give them the opportunity to probably help us, all of us, in learning. Okay, Eben from Texas, my brother, says, joining you from Dallas, Texas. It is great having Dorothy Brown on the show today. She is a legend and a school for thought to the Black communities. Cook County is a better place because of her endless efforts. I tell you, brother, you are doggone right. I think Chicago missed an opportunity. Cook County missed an opportunity to have a mayor like her. I mean, look, kudos. I mean, a person like her to be a mayor. I mean, we would have been. I know. That's my opinion. Having been able and having had the privilege to work with her for about 3, 4 years now, I say that she does have the heart for people. Okay, she is one of the few politicians who's doing a weekly show. She calls it the Dorothy Brown Forum, and all she's trying to do is just alert the community, educate the community, just engage the community, give them hope and all that. So if you talk about someone who has a heart, I just believe in me that we would have had an awesome, great mayor in her. It's not to say the one we have currently it's of course she's doing a great job, she's a great person, but in my opinion, that's how I feel. So thank you so much, Eben, who lives in Texas. He used to live in Chicago. I'm sure that's how he actually lives in the burbs, and so he knows you very well in terms of your work. Now, we have Eben again put another comment. He says, "Christ, you have made yourself from Ghana to the USA. You have broken through fear and have gone through all the barriers. Thanks for inspiring the Black men, especially Africans. I live in Texas too, and I hope to be in touch with you someday." That is to you, Chris.
Sure.
That's from Eben. So thanks for your comments, Eben. Nana Ama Inti is also here. Royal Black Jesus, a friend. He says, "Wow, this is very good information. Thank you so much, Royal Black Jesus, for joining the conversation." Omo Rare Johnny is also here. And then Eben again says, "Thank you so much for the elaborate expose. 2 questions for you." What are the questions? He says, 1, are you saying that there will be another stimulus money after the one Americans just had? Cook County jails are still crowded amidst COVID-19 pandemic, and several inmates reported with COVID-19. What measures what measures are you taking? Okay, I'm sure she's talking about what measures are you taking to ensure social distances in Cook County jails for inmates and employees? Hold on to that question. We will come back to it. And then Camila Alfred is also here. Jocelyn Akofa, my other beautiful sister. What's up, sis? Love you. She's also here with us. And then yes, the connection breaks up. I think it's unusual. It's a usual thing that's going on with a lot of these virtual events because everybody's online now. So I guess Facebook server, I think they have to expand their server because there's a lot of traffic coming in. So we have this situation a lot of times. But please bear with us, and I thank you for managing with us so far. Just Much says, is this income being factored in for Medicaid? I guess that question is for Chris. Maybe you can help answer that. And then he comes just ask a question again. He says, are the amendments for Medicaid as many people will be out of insurance due to unemployment? Are there amendments for Medicaid as many people will be out of insurance due to unemployment? And then Edwin Donko Parkwesi Sam, the president of the Ghana National Council, is also joining us. Thank you so much, Royal Blood. He says, keep it up. DJ Kenny, he says she is Iron Lady. She gets things done. Met her February launching a terminal. That's DJ Kenny giving Honorable Dorothy Brown kudos. She says you're an Iron Lady. And then Bennett Biney also joined us. So Honorable, would you want to answer? I mean, respond to that first question?
Yes, I saw those questions in the feed. So to the first one, I'm saying that the Democratic Congress, the Democratically majority Congress passed on yesterday a $3 trillion bill in which they have to send to the Republican-led Senate. So in that, there is another stimulus check of $1,200. But as you know, the Senate would have to approve it. And so it's going to be a matter of whether or not they leave that in there. And as I said, I heard one Republican senator say that why don't we wait to see how the money that we already sent out affects the economy before we give out more money. But they know that $1,200 is not enough for a household to survive for this long a period of time. So I'm hoping, just like everyone else, that we get more money. Secondly, as it relates to Cook County Jail, the call that I was on today with all of the public safety stakeholders, that was one of the discussions that we were having, in addition to the fact that the sheriff is running out of the electronic home monitors. And when he runs out of monitors, even if a judge says that a person should go on electronic monitoring, he cannot let the person out if we don't have enough monitors. And so we're having those discussions. The jail is down to 3,102. I think those were the numbers that the sheriff reported today. That is down from when I first took office from 12,000. When I first took office, and as a matter of fact, I think it got as high as 14,000. I was working, I put in place pay your bill by credit card. And that took it down significantly. Never got real credit for it, but it took it down significantly. Of course, people can still pay by credit card. But everyone has been working collaboratively over the last 60 days in making sure and working to get as many people out of jail, and if not, and out of jail, and possibly with using their own recognizance, IBAN, or going on electronic monitoring. Of course, you can't just let everybody go, but the sheriff did say he's opened up 2 additional divisions so that he can properly socially distance individuals. So we're working together to make sure that they have the social distancing. And yes, and it is because of COVID-19 and because of some inmates dying, as well as some of the sheriffs that actually died. So they've done a good job. They've reduced the number of inmates per pod, if you will, so that they're now able to do a better job of socially distancing inmates. And they have lots of gloves and lots of masks. I know there was a friend of mine who was wanting to actually was getting people to buy masks and gloves to take over the Cook County Jail. Well, they have almost 500,000 gloves and 500,000 masks. It's just that some inmates will not wear them. So if you go there and you don't see inmates with masks on or gloves on, it's not because the Cook County has not provided it to them. They won't wear them.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
of them. So they have them. They're just not wearing them.
Excellent. Thank you for answering the question. Chris, I don't know if you still remember that question. If you do, please go ahead and respond to it quickly. And then I wanted to talk about how loans and grants for small businesses and not-for-profit organizations within all this recovery stimulus packages that is coming through.
Sure. Okay. Regarding to the question as to the unemployment benefit that we are getting, if it will affect the Medicare benefit, certainly not. Yeah. If you look at the unemployment definition of unemployment benefit in general, it says you lose your job as a result of no fault of your own. You are willing, available, ready to work full time. So it's not your fault. Therefore, it has not any negative effect on Medicare or your 2020 income tax. You are not going to have to pay any taxes on it. Your Social Security benefit is not going to have any effect at all. Basically, what will happen is amendment will be made to make sure that such things have been accommodated. Now, with regard to the small business loans, all right, as Honorable spoke about it earlier on, basically it has been divided into two. We have the PPP and Payroll Protection Program and Economic Injury Disaster Loan as well. All right, good. So these two loans, the PPP, basically you can apply through your local banks or approved lenders. Now, I love the way that what my Honorable Dorothy brought it in about PayPal making provision to accept applications, because what was happening, the big banks was Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, they won't accept your application if you don't have a relationship with them. And that was causing a lot of frustration. Now we have lenders that are now accepting application. Either you have account with them or you don't have account with them, you can now submit application. Now, when it comes to the payroll, you must have the PPP program. You must have employees to be able to be eligible to put in application. Either profit-driven or non-profit, you can put in application. Now, when it comes to the EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan, it's for either with employee or without employee. So that is where the self-employed Uber drivers, hair braiders, seamstress, that's where they actually belong. Yeah, so with that one, you go to SBA website and you can put in application. And I've helped a lot of people to submit their application. The truth of the matter is they are very slow in responding. Yeah. So these loans are still available, that if you are self-employed, you should consider putting in application. Now, let me address some of the concerns that I have received. With the EIDL, there's a $10,000 grant, and they actually allot it to number of employees that you have. Every employee gets, one employee equals $1,000. 10 employees equals $10,000. So up to $10,000 that you could get. Now, when you are filling the application, you want to make sure that you indicate or you enabled. There is a question that asks you, do you want the $10,000 advance grant? You have to say yes. If you don't check it, you will submit the application and not getting that $10,000 grant. Yeah. And that is how you can get the grant from the EIDL. When it comes to the PPP, to make the loan forgiving, you have to use 75% during the first 8 weeks to cover payroll expenses. If you're able to show documentations that you use 75% at least to cover payroll expenses, the loan will be forgiven.
Okay. Wow. So the process you just try to go through can be cumbersome for some people, and not everybody is as meticulous as you. So I guess what we would do is, if anybody wants to reach out or need assistance in going through this process, because there seem like there's funds available for anybody that has been affected monetary wise by this pandemic, right? Be you um, an independent sole proprietor organization, not for profit, or if you work for corporate America, whatnot, you are eligible. And even small businesses. So people who have started small businesses too, right? And who do not necessarily have employees, somewhat can be eligible for this. So if you want to know more, I think, is it appropriate to say that they can contact you so maybe you can help them navigate through it?
Sure. Yes, they can certainly contact me. Yeah, and I'll give out my number soon. But let me also clarify this, put more emphasis on it. The small business is defined as providing service to the community. You don't have to have employee. So if you're an Uber driver, you are in business. You have as equal right as McDonald's. You have equal right to apply for this loan as Walmart or, let's say, Starbucks. So do not see yourself that, oh, I don't have employee. I don't. No, no, no. You are eligible to apply for this loan as long as you were in business as of February 15th. If you were in business of February 15th, you are eligible to put in application. Now, when it comes to the non-profit organization, it includes all these tribal associations that we have, such as Fanti Association, Elway Association, Ghana Association. If you have your 413C status, you are eligible to put in application. And COVID-19 has affected your operation. For example, nowadays, majority of them are not able to meet because of the pandemic. So it has affected them on one way or the other. They can still put in the application. And I'm more than available. I'm willing to assist anyone ready to put in application. My phone number is 512-999-6724. 512-999-6724.
Okay. Excellent. We have a question another question from Jess Marsh. She says, Medicaid is determined by income. Traditionally, unemployment was counted as income and used to deny eligibility. Hopefully, amendments are made. Thank you for answering. Okay, so that was a comment more than a question. Honorable, you have told, you've given us, try to give us some of the monies that has been allotted in this new bill that was passed by Congress. Hopefully, the Senate, the Republican Senate would push this through so that this bill can be passed to begin to curb some of the hardships that people are going through. Apart from that, what do you think that monetary-wise, so people can start doing on their own to maybe save the little money that is coming, or possibly try to find other sources of income so that they're not necessarily waiting, or even when they wait and the monies that they're supposed to be getting does not come through? What do you think people can be doing to start looking for other ways or of making extra income?
Well, it's interesting that you would ask that question because so many things are stopped now. But the businesses that are thriving are the online businesses.
Right.
The internet-based businesses, those businesses are thriving. So I would say this is a good time for you to go back, dust off that business plan or that business idea that you had in mind, and start to think about how to implement it. You may have in mind to actually start to sell online. They have a lot of companies now that you can sell things online, and people you just have to be willing to and able to deliver right away, or mail it to them. That people use post office. They have I know they have that Mercari app, and these are not brand new things, but they have to be of a certain quality.
Okay.
They have a lot of apps that you can just simply take pictures of things that you have in your house that you no longer want, and you can sell them. That's a way to get some money. You got things sitting up there that other people would like to have. As a matter of fact, what is that? That's an online flea market.
Mm-hmm.
It's an online flea market that you do not have to. So that's a way to make some money. But try to think of some online ideas, either selling things in your house or selling or coming up with some means of providing some kind of information or something that
That's online based.
is happening. Plus, look at some of these essential
Honorable,
services that are available that are still going on. If you're in the city of Chicago, and I was looking on the city of Chicago's website, and they have a place where it talks about unemployment, but it also talks about the industries that are actually hiring during this time.
Okay.
Packing industries,
Mm-hmm.
delivery services,
Mm-hmm.
grocery stores. Those are the industries that are actually hiring, during this time. And a lot of their regular workers are not coming to work, so they're hiring temporary workers. Some of them, like Amazon, is ramping up because people are buying online.
Mm-hmm.
Like my husband, I was talking to him, and he was talking about some of the packages that have been coming here, and I let him know that these are not additional things. These are things that I ordinarily would go out to the store to get, but I prefer not to go to the store. So I ordered some things from Walgreens just Monday, and they came today. It did not take a long time for it to get here. I just ordered them on Walgreens.com. So, but someone is somewhere packing these things. So if you really feel comfortable in going out to a job, look on the city of Chicago's website. They actually have some of the names. It's under COVID-19, a Corona update, and go through there and see the actual type of jobs that are available. So you can find different ways to make money. You don't have to just sit around, and not make money.
Thank you for. I think that we lost your feed. Can you? I don't know. Can you see us? Hello. Okay. It looks like we lost connection with Honorable Dorothy Brown. We will try and get in touch with her. But Toffey, can you still? Toffey, are you still here with me?
Yes, I'm here with you.
Okay. Please, let's go ahead with. So thanks for breaking this down. So if somebody just started a not-for-profit, even though they might not have done a lot of activities,
I can see you. I can see you.
Okay, please, let's go ahead with. They can still go ahead and apply for this. Let's talk about building business credit and funding. They might not have done a lot of activities.
I think I'm getting some feedback.
Yes, I know. This is the challenge of online streaming. So please bear with me. Okay, let's do this. Okay. All right. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. We apologize, listeners, for the break in transmission. We're all trying to deal with this online technology, and so please bear with us. We'll try and get Honorable Dorothy Brown on the show in about 30 minutes. About what? A few, maybe 10, 15 minutes. The state rep, LaShawn Ford, will be with us. But please go ahead and help us get an understanding of how to build business and credit. Okay, what is building business credit and funding? Just give us a breakdown of what that is.
All right, great. So business credit is just like consumer credit. We all know how the consumer credit works. You have your social security number and you get credit cards, or you begin with secure credit, then spending, paying, they'll get it reported to the credit bureaus. Then you build your personal credit. In the event that you default on the payment, you get reported to the credit bureaus, collection negatives on your credit report. You have the option to repair it by getting those negatives removed and get a score higher again. Now, Also, with that personal credit, we are able to buy houses, we are able to buy vehicles, we are able to get all these loans, personal loans that we on, or are on credit because of the personal credit that you have. The same thing applies to business as well. In the area of business, you have your EIN number. So just as in the personal side, you have your social security number that serves as your credit profile,
Mhm.
your credit, personal credit on. When it comes to business, the EIN number also serves as your credit profile that you can build your credit on.
Mhm.
But the problem is that in our community, we turn a blind eye to the business credit and we put everything on the personal credit. So even if you are driving a Uber and you have to do you have to do maintenance on our vehicle, we use our personal credit. If you have to buy a new vehicle, to run Uber, which is a business expense, we use our personal credit. And if you have a business, we need to expand and grow the business, we use personal credit, personal loan. So it limits us. With the business credit, once you take the time to go through the process, we have built your business credit on your EIN number that is not linked to your social security number. And if you need loans, if you need business credit, you are able to use your EIN number and get that loan. And it keeps it very separate from your personal loan. So once you get that business credit built on your EIN number, it gives you a double purchasing power. You don't have to use your personal credit to do things that you want to do on a credit basis. You can use your business credit. Let's say, for example, you have a non-profit organization and you need to buy things. Usually they use what personal business, personal credit. Or let's say, for example, a church. If a church wants to buy a van, church van, they usually contact someone who has good credit and they put it on their personal credit, and which sometimes can lead to issues. Now, the church, if the church is registered and has the 5013C status, of course, we also get the EIN number. So with that EIN number, we built that credit, business credit, that the church can now use the EIN number to get credit, either business credit lines or business loans to fund any activities or any purchase that they want to do without having to use a personal credit. So with the business credit, we are able to build it up and able to help you to get the funding as well.
Wow. Okay. So this is basically making sure that apart from your personal business credit, you are also taking steps or taking measures to build a separate business if you have it, so that as your personal credit grows, your business credit also would grow. And then if you want to, whatever you want to purchase, even if it's personal, do you have to use the business credit to purchase those personal items just so you can keep building your business credit? Maybe in my
Okay,
lane.
good. So, all right. So the way that you see on the personal credit, we have the credit bureaus such as TransUnion, Equifax, all right, good. In the same way, when it comes to business credit, you also have business credit bureaus.
Okay.
So the business credit bureaus, whenever you apply for business credit, you want to make sure that the lender is going to report to your business side and not the personal. That is why those who come through our program to build their business credit, we coach them on these things. Before you accept the loan, first of all, you don't give them your social security number. We do have lenders that can approve your business business credit card or business line of credit without asking for your social. However, there are some banks and financial institutions that will go extra mile to ask for your social security. And if they ask for it, one thing that you want to communicate to make sure that agreement has been established is that the transaction will not be reported to your personal business credit. Now, let me say one thing that makes it so crucial for everyone who is in business to think about, building their business credit. When it comes to the personal credit, most of the time, there is a limit called the utilization ratio. For example, if you have $10,000 and you spend $9,000, it's going to affect your credit score because you have almost exhausted all the limits. When it comes to business credit, there's nothing like exhausted of your limit. You can spend all the $10,000 limit and it will have no effect on your score. So when you have the business credit, you are able to use or transfer all the large purchases that would have damaged your personal credit onto your business credit. As long as they are reporting to the business credit bureaus, you are good. And those who come through our program, we work them through lenders that report directly through business credit, and those that don't report to the business credit. So you also want to be mindful of.
Wow. Is this the reason why you have over 1,000 clients across the 50 states of this country?
It's a very wonderful program. People who come through wait to always get excited, and they recommend it to friends and relatives.
Right. No, that's very deep. That's very deep. We'll save. Don't give us all the information. We'll come back. We'll save that good info. We will let you give it to us in a little bit. But fortunately, we have Honorable Dorothy Brown back on the line. And then we have Rep. LaShawn Ford, Illinois State Rep. LaShawn Ford, who is responsible for the 8th district, is here with us. This gentleman he's not only a state representative, but he's also into real estate. He is a community oriented man. He's a leader in our community. He serves on several boards in our community. And also, once upon a time, he wanted to be a preacher. I don't know why he went to seminary school to become a preacher. Why did you switch from that, LaShawn Ford?
Well, I was going to be a Roman Catholic priest, and you could just imagine why.
Well,
why I decided not to. So you can just imagine why I didn't become a priest. I think that I enjoyed the Catholic faith. The Catholic faith, of course, has a lot of challenges, just like everything else. Every church, every government, every body, no one is perfect, and religion surely isn't perfect. But I do find great comfort in my church and my religion.
And you played basketball in college?
I did. I played 1 year. I played 1 year in high school, and I would have went pro, but I hurt my knee. I can always say that.
I'm sure that's the only reason.
Right.
I think you would have made the Michael Jordan's team then.
You know what? No, I'm not. I'm younger. So there's some old people, not quite old, but they're older.
Okay.
So I would have been like with. I probably would have gotten to play with Michael because I come in with Shaq.
Okay.
Shaq and I are the same age.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, so for people who don't know who LaShawn Ford is, of course, you run for the mayor of the city of Chicago. And that's one of the things. That's one of your many accolades. But give us maybe briefly a picture of what it looks like to be a state rep. Which district? Where is your jurisdiction? And take us through your basic responsibility as a state rep.
Well, thank you for having me on the pandemic and your money. I really appreciate it, and it is very difficult and challenging to be a state rep during these times, but it's. I think that this is something that I really, I'm blessed to be able to do. And it's the Austin area, it's Oak Park, Berwyn, LaGrange Park, North Riverside, parts of Forest Park, and just a little of Brookfield, right over there by the zoo.
Okay.
And so as you hear, that district has great diversity, and the demographics are very different everywhere you go, and everybody requires something different.
Okay.
So it's tough, representing communities that's been left behind, and Clerk Dorothy Brown's been a real fighter with some of the big problems that we have with reentry, and that's been that criminal justice system has put a lot of black men out of the real economy. And that's been a problem. And it's destroyed families. And so, you know, that's what we want to continue to fight, to give people an opportunity to be back in the real economy.
Now, with this whole pandemic situation, how are you going about? How is the government handling, you know, your proceedings? Do you have to go to debate on issues for your constituent over Zoom virtually, or you have to be all the way at what do you call it, Illinois? I mean, Springfield.
Yeah. We're doing Zooms, and today is the first day that we announced that we will be going back to Springfield on the 20th.
Okay.
And so we've been out of session since February, and the speaker announced that he's convening the House, and the president of the Senate announced that he's convening the Senate so that we can wrap up this budget cycle.
In all these years that you've been a state rep, tell me the one thing that you say that you have accomplished, that if you stop being a state rep today, you can go home and sleep. That one thing that you think that you have accomplished for the community.
You know, I think one thing would be the law to seal felony records. That's the law that I wrote, and to be able to seal felony records is a big deal.
Great.
You know, we passed a lot of bills, but that one right there is hands down life-changing, and it gives people, black, white, brown, everybody, a real second chance. So that would be it. That
sounds juicy. So I'll let you give us two more.
Yeah, and ban the box. That's one. That's another criminal justice bill that passed, where you cannot ask a person whether or not they have been convicted of a crime. You know, and a lot of bills. Another one, you know, there's this big bill. I got some business bills, but you said pick a couple. So here's one that we know that the lottery has clearly impacted the poverty-stricken communities.
Okay.
And so we passed a law to make sure that the money is spent on education. What happened when the lottery was passed into law, it was said that the money would be spent on education.
Right.
That money's been diverted everywhere but in education. And so now we passed a law that says that that money has to be added as a supplemental money to education in the state of Illinois. So that's a pretty big one. And we passed a lot. I mean, we passed a bill for HIV and AIDS to help reduce that, but I'll stick to the guidelines.
Before we come to one of the main reasons why you were here, the one most challenging fight that you think that had given you a tough time in your tenure up to now?
The greatest challenge is trying to convince the public that engagement is the number one key to changing the structure of government and the outcomes for our communities. You know, I really hope and pray that one day we can look at the past and see how the past can predict the future. And that is, when we fought together before I was born for civil rights, it happened. People were able to win those battles and sit at lunch counters and sit at the front of the bus and not get up for white people and go to schools of choice because people came together.
Okay,
and
great.
They fought, and the greatest one was slavery. People fought to get out of slavery. Excellent. So I think that what's the greatest challenge is not passing the bill, but getting people that need the help to believe that it can happen and fight for it.
That's the point. And maybe another day we can try to talk about how we can get people to get involved in the conversation, because what matters most is our local officials. A lot of times people are only interested in national elections, just vote for the president, but the presidents, and a lot of time most the people at the top don't make the decisions. It's you are the ones that, the judges, our local reps, and and all that. You are the ones that make decisions that affect our day to day. So I think that's a very great point. But tell us now to the point that I want us to go into this evening. Honorable had mentioned some of the issues, if not issue, but some of the things that people have, some of the things that have changed our lives so far. I mean, a lot of people are turning on to online businesses, online services. Our lives is basically online. Anything, application, job for jobs, and all that. And you are fighting for digital. I'll say digital. What is the digital divide?
The digital divide is, I think it's one of the problems that impacts everyone in the state, in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Because whether you're in urban America or urban Illinois or rural parts of Illinois, there's a problem with gaining access to broadband and the internet and Wi-Fi.
Okay.
In rural parts of Illinois, believe it or not, in year 2020, there's infrastructure problems, and people couldn't get Wi-Fi if they wanted to because there's no infrastructure. In Chicago and other communities where there's infrastructure, people can't afford Wi-Fi. And that's a problem, so we're fighting to make sure that people have access to broadband and Wi-Fi and in the state of Illinois. Mm-hmm. It's a must. I mean, we used to say that and we still say that if you can't read by third grade, then you're going to be behind. If you don't have access to technology at birth, you're going to be behind, because people have to have the internet, because many of the schools are not using books anymore. They're using technology. And so we have to make sure all of the young people have access to the internet. And we've been caught off guard with COVID-19 because there's a stay-at-home order and schools are closed, and they've been remanded to do e-learning. And there are hundreds of thousands of young people right now at home without the internet, without a computer. So we have to close the digital divide and make sure everybody is connected.
Okay, so so far, what would you say has been the progress on this fight?
The time has come, and I've been working with leadership, the governor's office, the Speaker of the House, and I think that we're going to see something happen during this session when we go back. Okay. We promoted a Move On petition. Reven Fellows been fighting very hard. Carl West, Chantel. There's just been a lot of push for it, but it's very, very difficult to get people to sign on. And as Clerk Brown knows, that if you don't have money to push an agenda, it's very hard to push it, even if it's the right thing to do. We know that we need to get 1 million people to sign a petition to say that we need Wi-Fi and broadband across Illinois. But it's very difficult. It's very difficult, believe it or not. When you see big movements that happen, they really are created by money. Movements really don't happen because people feel that they just want to change. Believe it or not, money makes movements happen. So Black Lives Matter. It was money put in it.
So you're right. So money in the sense that, so you are not able to get in the communities and actually go, like, say, do door to door and get people to sign up. Is that the issue?
Yeah. I mean, and you got to connect with the organizations that have lots of people. You got to pay for buses. You have to pay for lunches. You have to pay for press secretaries. You got to pay for technology to get the word out, to make it go viral. It is very hard. And then you got to pay people to protest. Why do you have to pay people to protest? Because the people that need the change the most, they're struggling and they don't have work. And so you're asking people that might have to work or that's working, they can't take off work. So you have a couple people you need to take off work to come protest, to go to Springfield, to go to City Hall, to go to the county building. They can't do that. Not unless they are being paid. How do you protest when you have to make money?
Right. So what's the way forward? I mean, how can the community what can we do better in support of this? But before you answer that, maybe I'll have Honorable Dorothy Brown chime in on this topic, because she's been doing a lot of work of course she's transformed the circuit court system in traditional way of doing things to the digital platform and whatnot. So this conversation, I'm sure it's not new to you, Honorable. So if you want to chime in on that.
It absolutely isn't new to me. We're having those discussions. First, I want to welcome State Representative Ford to the to the show with us. State Representative Ford is a good friend of mine, and I want to applaud you for all that you're doing right now, Rep Ford, for your district during this COVID-19, making sure that they have masks, working for equity, and especially with this digital divide, working towards digital equity within our community. But yes, this is nothing new to me. I was just in communication today with the chief judge about how to make sure that people that do not have computers and the like are going to be able to get information concerning their next court dates. And when we put our electronic filing system in place, the Supreme Court included in its order to require my staff to help people have a special customer service area for people to come inside the courthouse to use our computers. We have to have a certain number available for them to use our computers to actually do their electronic filing. And so this digital divide is just huge. And a lot of these things are actually by design. And as State Rep Ford said, people, the powers that be, if you will, really know that it takes a lot of funds to get to have a movement to move a lot of these systemic inequities that are in place. And so they know that those things are going to just continue to survive unless there's a true movement, and true movements do require money, unless there's somebody that just a group of people that is just so committed, they're going to go to the mat, and most of the time it will kill you. If you're trying to move a mountain all by yourself, especially if it's just a small group. And that's why a lot of these things continue to exist. Why do you think that, we have African Americans have so many people dying with this COVID-19 and have such poor underlying conditions? And Rep Ford knows that we've been talking about this for decades about the disproportionality in the foods, the type of food that's available in our community, and the medical, healthcare and the like, and and so it's just going to take. We have to. I think you asked, what's the path forward? The path forward is to continue the path forward, continue to move forward, step by step, round by round, everybody moving in the same direction. and looking to for that time when we have a Selma moment. Sometimes things happen. We know that things happen that help to move us forward without money, and those kind of things, like the Trayvon Martin, that moved the justice system forward a long way without money. Why? Because it was a huge international story. The Selma Edmund Pettus Bridge, that moved civil rights forward a long way because it was a huge moment. And unless we are able to get people that have money, that with concern, that can help a movement, you know, it takes a longer, but things do eventually change. And so, I do everything that I can in my arena to help to make sure that everyone have proper access to justice. Getting back to your question about the digital divide, to make sure that everyone have proper access to justice, even if they do not have computers.
Excellent. We will come back to Chris so you can help us understand. You are making very great points, excellent points when it comes to business credit building and funding. State Regulation 4. If you may, I know this has been something you've been working on for some time, and you. Okay, so I think if you muted us, can you unmute it so we can hear you? Okay, great. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
I heard everything.
Oh, you had everything? Okay. So what I want you to do.
I muted me, not you.
Okay.
I heard everything that was said.
Okay, great. So are there any statistics, that show that the digital divide that you probably would want to share? Because we would like to have a visualization of how grave the situation is. If there is, we would like to share. If there's not, then we can move on to
I think that it's now on the front page of the paper, and it's on TV every day. COVID has exposed, like the Clerk Brown said, what we've been fighting for: equity and just quality of food. And most importantly, I believe that if Chris had his way and everyone had the ability to buy high quality food, they would. But there's something wrong with the justice of wealth. The 99% of us, and there's a large group of people with all the money, and there's a group of people with very little money and struggle from day to day. And we could talk all we want about how we want things to be right, but if we don't get justice in the economy, people are going to continue to be poor. They're not going to be able to feed their families. They're going to be homeless. They're not going to be able to get the internet. They're not going to be able to educate their kids the way they would like to, because this country is set up to be so complicated. And people compare Black Americans to people from other parts of, let's say, Africa, of Africa, and say that they are doing well over there. They're learning. They have better. They have culture, but we got to remember what America has done to society. And so the wealth over here is so hard to attain, and it's very, very difficult for people to attain it.
Right. You said the wealth here is very difficult to attain for Black folks, like African Americans.
And let me make sure I make the connection. Because it doesn't have to. You don't have to be rich if things were fair. If things were fair and everyone had access to high quality education, if everyone had access to the internet, if everyone had access to fresh foods, and if everyone had access to healthy neighborhoods, who needs a bunch of money when you're healthy and you have an opportunity to have a high quality life, and then you can compete? But when you have a society that makes it very complicated for people to compete and achieve, you know, it's tough.
So what you're saying is very deep. The notion for most Africans is that, of course, America is the land flowing with milk and honey. America is the end and be all. America is a great nation. So anybody that lives in America, we can't even fathom that there's poverty or there's this type of things in America. So talk of internet, because folks in the village, I hear, is that Rwanda or Senegal? I think Rwanda, they built a satellite that kind of satellite that provides internet for a village, for an entire village in Rwanda. And I can, anybody hearing this, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But what I'm saying is that even in Africa, which is supposed to be a continent struggling with poverty, have access to internet, and even such to the extent where you go to some of the remote places in Africa, you have internet. Here in America, in the Black communities, are you saying that people only have access to internet when they have phones because because of the 4G, and do not necessarily have access to broadband so that they can use their computer to go online and probably do e-learning or set up businesses and stuff? Is that what the case is?
Let me tell you, God has blessed me, and I struggle with every month. I can afford it, but I can't. It's too much to pay for internet. It's just absolutely too much to have to pay for that internet. When I look at my internet bill, I get disgusted. And so I know that if a person has to pay $30, $40 a month with all the taxes on it, who can afford it?
Right.
That's a lot of money just to have access to, guess what now? You have to have the internet to apply for SNAP benefits for the most part. You have to have the internet to apply for jobs. You have to have the internet to apply for unemployment if you're laid off. You have to have the internet to apply for college if you want to go to college.
And even do your homework.
And they do homework to do research. When the last time you seen someone sell encyclopedias? I had my set when I was growing up. And now, if you want to do research, you better have the internet.
Okay, so the digital divide is not because people don't have access to, but it's very expensive, and you are fighting to try to get it to a very affordable or reasonable rate, where regular folks and poor people can easily access internet without.
Absolutely, the broadband should be free.
Free,
in America. There's no reason why we cannot have free Wi-Fi in America for everyone, regardless to your income. We just need to have a system that takes care of that.
All right. So the divide is not necessarily rich folks have cheap internet and then poor folks have high internet, but you're just saying that for regular folks, you're fighting to get internet, basically make broadband free for everybody.
That's right. We need broadband to be free for everyone.
Okay.
It's a racket that we have all of these internet providers making billions of dollars when they know they have us on a hook and we have to have it. You have to have the internet now to watch TV. So it's really difficult. And that's what I mean by things being so difficult for Americans. I'm not a slacker by no means. I work hard. And so, but I know how difficult it is.
It is. For
people. And so when things were simple, it was easier for people to be more successful, believe it or not, because it was simple. But now America has made it so complicated. It's so complicated that now the COVID has exposed how complicated it was and how fast we were moving, and now how we have slowed down and how things are getting a little normal.
All right. Thanks for explaining it further. It's 7:53 Eastern Time. We're here in the city of Chicago. You are listening to the Progressive Mind Show. I'm your host, Alinko, and we have had great guests so far, Honorable Dorothy Brown, she's here. Chris E. Toffey is also helping us with the discussion. And then Representative LaShawn Ford, who is fighting and working on the digital divide project here in the state of Illinois. We will come to him in a little bit to let us know how we can support this. What can we do as a community to help the conversation? This is not a black or white situation, or this is not an African versus African American problem. This is regular folks issue, and we all have to jump on board and support a good work. And so our state rep is working on that. All we have to do as a people is to give them support. We'll try and see how we can help with that. Before I come back to the panel, Imani Mohammed joined us on Facebook. She says, greetings to Senna and your guest. Stella Amadi wants to know if she can get Chris your number. I'm going to pass that number on. Of course you can. He's going to put that information out there in a little bit. Imani says, hey, Kuwana. Thanks for sharing. Oh yeah, Kuwana is on here. Okay, I didn't even care. Kuwana Norman, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you. Please share the feed for us. As you're watching, please share the feed, because the information we're getting is very, very important. So when you share it, your friends can get a preview of what's going on. They can also add their voice, and that is how we build our community. All right, we all have to engage in these type of conversations. My brother Efa Ameyao is also Kakape is also watching us. Kakape, can you please share the feed? Ashia Hasnian, Liverpool, we never walk alone. I miss you, Ashia. We should talk sometime. I hope you and the family are doing very well. Greetings to the family. And Mausi Empress is also Empress Mausi, my own sister, is also here. She says, great show. And she's watching with Royal Black Jesus. The two are like twins. I love these two birds. Okay, all right. It's 5 minutes to 8 p.m. and we'll try and wrap up soon. Honorable Dorothy Brown, DJ Kenny is asking, do you plan on running for any public office anytime soon or in the future?
You have me on the screen.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I was telling him he has me on the screen.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right. That looks
That's
much
an
better.
easy answer. No.
Okay.
I tell you, like Governor Cuomo told the folk on CNN. That's an easy answer. No.
Okay. The DJ Kenya, I'm sure you heard that. Beatrice Kamal says, great show, great guest. Thank you so much, Beatrice. I'm sure my guest really appreciate you. Mr. Kendi also joined us. Big up, Mr. Kendi. Big up to you as well. Please share the feed so we can all learn from the conversation this evening. But Chris, you were making an excellent point regarding building business. It's about 4 minutes. Take the next minute to emphasize on the point, emphasize on where I stopped you at, and then maybe we can try and wrap up after that.
Listeners, is that just as you can build your personal credit to buy home, vehicles, if you have business, or if you have a nonprofit organization, or if you run a church, you do not have to put all these expenses on your personal credit. You ruin your personal credit. You can establish your business credit by building it on your EIN number. Now, let me use this opportunity to address this. Some people say, well, I do have a business credit card from Wells Fargo, from Bank of America. This is what happens. Once you go there to apply for business credit, because you have not built it, they base it on your personal credit. So once you pull your credit profile from any of the three bureaus, you see the business loan that you got, you appear on your personal credit. Once you have built your business credit on your EIN number, your business loans, your business credit lines or business credit cards, either Walmart business credit card, Home Depot business credit card, or line of credit that you have, it can be solely on your EIN number and not linked to your social security number. And as we all know, business credit is 10 times higher than consumer credit. So it's opportunity that is available to every business. Either you drive Uber, you braid hair, and you have registered it. Even if you have not registered it, our program will help you to get it registered and take advantage of that that belongs to you. Right now, it's just like a child who has a social security number and has not developed it at all. That is how your EIN number is like. There's nothing like credit. But once you come through our program, we built it up to give you the ability to secure loans on your EIN number and not your personal social security number.
Okay, brother, you make it sound very easy and simple. And so we're hoping that when people actually start coming to you, you'll be able to help them out, because a lot people struggle with these type of things. A lot of time you don't even understand, the in and out of all these things. So we are grateful that you are able to share this information. Maybe another time we can have you here so you can go deeper into some of those business nuances and tax credit and all that, because this country is all about credit. And so, thank you so much for that. You have been listening to the Progressive Mind Show. We've been talking about the pandemic and your money. The pandemic has hit all of us in various ways. More so, the number one thing is our health. Next is our finance. In terms of government and nations, it's hit government's economy like never before. So this pandemic, more than anything, it's all about bottom line, our finances. But they're also saying that around this time is the best time to invest, right?
Exactly.
So,
yes.
Okay, so in closing, I'll let you close us. But before that, maybe I'll take Honorable's closing remarks regarding everything we've said. Honorable, I know you've been lifting up people on the Dorothy Brown Forum, which is aired every Saturday. Tell us more about that.
Yes.
And then
You have it on screen. So
I know. We'll get to it.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
All right.
Yes, I want to invite everyone to hear my show on Saturday. It's going to be at 8:10 p.m. I'm going to have Dr. Terry Mason on. He'll be talking about COVID-19 and the effect that it's had on our community and where do we go from here. And so that's on Facebook Live on my page on Dorothy Brown. So come on and join us on Saturday night. Dr. Mason has some great insight. I talked to him today. Great insight into what's going on in our community, and I consider him our community doctor. And so thank you, Alinko, for having me, and just keep up the good work. Keep up the good work, State Representative Ford as well, and be happy to come back on your show anytime.
Thank you once again. Thank you so much. We would take last words from State Rep LaShawn Ford. You have been on this fight for a long time. You've been doing great work. How can the community get involved in this struggle, on this fight for digital divide for Americans, Illinoisans, Chicagoans?
Yeah, so we started a Move On petition to end the digital divide in Illinois, and I've posted that on your private chat. And so it's Move On petition to end the digital divide in Illinois. Hopefully you could share it.
Okay.
And, I think that it's a movement. It's a basic civil right, and I think that we should push it because we won't regret it.
So basically, people should just. Is there any other website apart from the link that you shared? Something that people can sign on? Yeah.
Yes, they can go to the LaShawnFord.com, and then we can direct them. They could email us there, and they could join that fight with us right there.
Okay, and you said you posted that link in the feed?
In the private feed, yep, in your private chat.
Okay. Well, Chris, Chris, do you want your information? I mean, people are asking for your information, so I don't know if you want it.
Sure, please.
Wait, before that, Honorable LaShawn Ford, that will be your last words for this evening?
That's my final words. Thank you for having me on. It's really enlightening, and I really enjoy both of your guests.
Excellent. We hope to have you back on because you've always been excellent. We hope to have you back on. But Chris, is it okay to give your number out?
Yes, please.
Okay, please go ahead and do that yourself. That way
sure.
I don't.
Yeah. So if you would like to know more about the things that we do, investments, life insurance, credit building, credit repairing, both personal and also business. If you want to know more about it, you can certainly call me or text me at 512-972-9414. 512-999-6724. Again, 512-999-6724.
Okay. Is it a website, email address, social media
Okay,
platform?
sure. My email address, you can reach me at chris@christoffey.com. chris@christoffey.com. Or my website is at christoffey.com.
Okay, Christoffey.com.
Yeah,
Okay.
christoffey.com.
All right. So in addition to giving information now, what were your last words for our audience this evening?
Sure. What I would say is that, if you look life in general, there is no crisis without opportunity. Wherever there's crisis, there is always opportunity. And you said it earlier on that this is the greatest time to invest. And as we all strive to achieve financial freedom, it boils down to this world that we live in. It's almost impossible to achieve wealth without investment or business. Paycheck will never set us free from financial crisis. The only way to get out of financial crisis is through investment or some sort of business. And now that we know that market is falling on a free fall, some of us have lost a lot of money through 401k, but 401k is not the only investment vehicle that you can put your money in. There are other investment vehicles out there, and if you are scared about stocks, that's okay. There are other investment vehicles such as index that protect you from the free fall and you still make money. If you contact me, I'll be able to share with you some other investment vehicles that can still grow and help you to make money. When it comes to the business, as I said, it takes either business or investment to create wealth. One thing that I forgot to address is when it comes to the EIDL loan, economic injury disaster loan, they check credit. So some of the people who go through this, they come through our program. You build their business and personal credit, and they put in the application, giving them the edge to qualify for a larger amount. So whatever question that you have, the service are a lot. Feel free to call me, contact me, and I'll be more than happy to go over with you.
For some reason, they asked for the number again. I just got the information. I just got it.
Sure. The number is 512. 999. 6724.
Okay. 6724. One investment opportunity that you think somebody can invest in right now?
Well, besides stocks, the next is index.
Okay. Well, on that note, we would end the conversation this evening. Okay. I think that you've given a lot of information. It's 6 minutes past our time, and we will come back again. We will do another segment with you. But for now, we are so thankful for your input and your contribution. There's this little fly that has been bothering me all evening, but the devil is a liar. I'm just kidding. Anyway, a big thank you to all my guests, Honorable Dorothy Brown, who has shared a lot of information and helped this show to be a success. My next guest, who just left, State Rep LaShawn Ford, who is championing the cause for digital device. And I'll be posting the information he sent on the Progressive Minds page. I'll also try and put it on the Progressive Minds website, which is the progressivemindshow.com. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. We're here to have these type of conversations that would lift our community. Remember that the Progressive Mind is all about building our community. And a big thank you to Chris E. Toffey for brilliant contribution to tonight's show. We can't thank you enough. And more importantly, our audience who have joined the feed and have helped this show to be a great success once again. We love you so much. We love all of you who have joined us. Wanjiru Kiri just joined us. Wanjiru Kiri. And if I missed anybody's name, Beatrice Kamau to just joined us. If I missed anybody's name, please forgive me. And just make sure. Yes.
Alinko, I want to thank Chris also. I enjoyed you, Chris. Great information.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I also enjoy you as well.
For some reason, we can't see your video again, but at this point,
I see. That's okay.
At this point, the show is over. So, hey, audience, listeners, please make sure you join us next week, Wednesday, 6. Tell a friend, that this is going on, and share the feed on the Progressive Mind Show. Remember, this has been your host, Alinko. To whom much is given, much is required. We will see you next week. God bless you. Stay home. Stay safe. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.